Thank you for joining us. This is Simply Sincee, and I am Sincee Callahan, metaphysician and chancellor at ELU. My co-hosts are Sharon and Judith. And we do have some other folks in the gallery. It's the husband of Sharon, who is Dave,
Hi, Dave.
and Dominique, or Dami, or Dom, who is the husband of Judy, and our producer, Darian English.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah. So we want to bring everybody into this podcast, whether you can see them or not, because we're always looking to them to make sure that we're staying in focus, staying on topic, and trying to make sure we get the point across in a comfortable way. You know, I want to start out by saying that nothing we do is intended to offend anyone. Some of our comments may appear to be that way, but we're just trying to share it from our own personal perspective. We understand that every soul has a journey. Every journey is different. We don't want everybody to walk and talk and do everything the same way. Our goal is to help others to realize that life can be so wonderful, that, you know, we don't have to be held hostage in our own lives, that we have the freedom to have our own original thought. We have the freedom to have laughter when we want, to have joy when we want, experience pain however we need to or want to. We are here to help you to just get a better understanding of how to love life, how to be a giver of love, how to truly appreciate the short term of living that we have, you know, and to be able to share it with those you love. So when we left off in our last podcast, we tried to clarify some things from a couple of other previous podcasts. We talked about our principles and how to establish principles. We talked about family circles, and, you know, we talked about how to identify yourself and how to be able to respect yourself and understand other people, how to respect their space. And one of the things we didn't probably say that I'd like to say it with words right now is that every soul has a life. And often we go around like, my life is so important, not realizing that everybody's life is important. Everybody's life, not a select group here and there or anywhere. The individual that you may have encountered has life too. And that's one of the things that we are trying to help people to just be conscious of all the time. It's not just about us all the time. It's about the whole of us, you know, and identifying who you are, recognizing your character, playing the role of life in a way that's comfortable for you and others. One of the things that we shared in a previous podcast was how people get themselves stuck in boxes, you know, and one of the things I do want to say is that I am the soul of Sincee. I am the physical body as soul of Sincee. And what I mean by that is that we come into life in layers, and we enter into this physical body. We are soul, and this is our physical body of soul. We have a physical body, we have an emotional body, we have a causal body, we have a mental body, and an etheric body. But we want to talk about that in a way that might be more comfortable. When we talk about these layered bodies, that conversation is more for other people that are really into metaphysics, and for a lot of students, and why people come to ELU to study, because they want to understand, what are these layers? What are these layered bodies? We're going to talk about it in a way, simply Sincee style. We're going to talk about it as life itself, like the physical life of you, the emotional life, the causal life, the mental life, and the etheric life. And, you know, we actually do have an expert sitting on the panel. I think we all are experts at this point when it comes to the layered bodies. But we have someone who does it so graciously and simplify it, and that is Sharon. She has a way of she's a wordsmith. That's what we call her.
Keep calling her the wordsmith.
She's a wordsmith.
Ooh,
She
a lot of
has
pressure. A lot of pressure over here in number 2 seat here.
She has a way of, and I want to say gentle, but she actually is pretty firm about the way she expresses herself. But you can feel the gentleness behind it. And she has a way of making it simpler than Sincee. I can say so.
Simply
Sure, and
said.
if you will,
Okay.
let's talk about, simplifying the layered bodies and how we get ourselves caught up by not being able to understand that into different boxes and be manipulated and maneuvered and pushed around and shackled in various ways by people that we meet
Right.
along the way, by
Right.
people we think we love, who want us to love them so much that we dislike ourselves. How can we help them to understand
Get
this?
some popcorn. Get a Coke, popcorn, put your feet up. So for me, I think we were having a conversation, and we had talked layered bodies of soul, and then life, the word life came up. So when I look at that, and I've looked at that in my own life, I know Sincee and Judy, we've talked about, etherically, soul being etheric. And that's just a beautiful place to be in life. I think a lot of us have felt that way, just like for me, that space is just so unconditional. You're just viewing things from just enjoying life, just loving everything, just a beautiful perspective. And then we move to our mental layer of life, our experience. You hear people say, "Oh, I'm just so mental. I'm in my head. I'm in my head. What's going on?" And that can be a place where we get kind of stuck, I guess, and we start creating these things that are unnecessary. And I think one of the words that come to me always is that fear. And we start creating, and we've talked about this. Judy talked about boxes, keeping yourself stuck in a box. Sincee has talked about, creating monsters. That's where, when we're living in that space, and that's part of our soul, that's part of us. When we're living there and we're stuck there and it's not just lined up, that's where we can create these monsters that become just so unbearable. Then we go to we've talked about our past, our causal, we call it causal, our past, things that happened to us in the past in our life. And if we stick there and we just don't resolve things, again, that we can be stuck, and we're not able to, kind of, as we say, feel lined up, feel good. Like when you're having a great day, I feel awesome. I'm just lined up. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to hit the ground running. I feel fabulous. That's when you're just being you. And what happens when we're stuck in that past and we really latch onto those emotions, sometimes we can experience, or we do that to ourselves. We experience those emotions, and that just becomes so sometimes unbearable in our life. And then we stay in that emotional part. And then sometimes we even drag people into that. We're dragging them in. How many people can we drag into this? Let's see how good I am at this. And then if we stay there and that just becomes so overwhelming, that part, then this physical body that we've been gifted becomes sick. And you talk about, you can have these conversations with people. You feel it's that so overwhelming, you're not even processing those emotions. You're either using, manipulating, experiencing whatever you're experiencing, and you've not given yourself a break. That body suffers. And it's just fascinating. You can stay stuck in that. You can stay stuck in emotions. You can stay stuck in the past. You can stay stuck in the mental part of life, and there's no need to do that, because you're never going to reach that unconditional part, because there's too much going on. It's just not, as we say, lined up.
Mm-hmm.
And it just feels that way. I know most people, if I've had conversations with people about this, I just say it's literally, you just feel good about what's going on. And it doesn't mean things aren't happening in your life where there's challenges, because even when there's challenges, you can experience like synergy with the soul. And then you have for me, it's always about the others around me. There's that, that help assistance you get sometimes, or even just, it's not just me experiencing this. There is life out there. We can enjoy life no matter what. But what you never want to do is just be stuck in any of those places. You never want to be, I guess,
In the
stuck
box.
in the box. Like Judy said, in the box.
Yeah.
And that I think the trickiest one for me would be that creation of fear. That I always knew what I was afraid of, and that a lot of it for me was like, what are people going to think of this? What is that going to be? Ooh, what are they going to think about this? And I did know what the fear is. You really do know when you just sit down and just say, what am I really afraid of?
And you have to do that.
You have to do that. We also have, I'm not going to talk about that today, but that's something, there is an exercise that we do to guide people with that. And it's just guiding. We don't, someone literally, I've had people do this that I've just met, that they literally could do this on their own. But if you take a look at what your fear is and why are you afraid of that? I'm not saying the fear it's not valid or not, but most of the time for me, I was creating that fear. And where you create that is in my life. I was just in my head with these things. And then what happens is it's a miserable, you manifest it.
We manifest what
and
we're
it's
afraid of.
miserable. It's a miserable life.
And then there becomes these monsters that are always chasing you.
Right.
And you want to hide in the dark.
Right.
But they find you.
Right.
So that,
Right.
it's,
I just say now, if that creeps in, I'm not saying that doesn't happen, but if it doesn't, I can see the periphery. I have great peripheral vision. I don't have great vision, but I have great, like I can feel things coming in. Oh, you know what? You're not welcome. It's literally, it's like, nope.
It's not a
nope.
bad or a good thing. It's
Right.
just a thing.
It's not, I'm not going to welcome that. I'm not interested.
Yeah.
This is
Well,
what I always say. I'm not interested.
If it doesn't vibe,
Yeah.
it doesn't vibe.
Yeah, I'm not interested.
There's really not much more to that. You can't go and try to make something work. And, we were talking off camera, the three of us, about, fear of the unknown, and being able to confront that, But the thing about fear is just self-manifested. No, people will put the idea into your mental space, in your mental layer,
Right.
or the mental layer of life of you, and you take what they say and you allow them to scare you. Or you can stand up and say, you know what, I don't need to be afraid of this. Let me confront this. It could be something simple like, the doctor said, if I do this, I'm going to have that. Once you accept that, then this next layer is causal. If you really allow yourself to create that in your mental layer, it's your creation.
Right.
Somebody gave you the information and you decided to manifest it. And now you're locking it in your causal layer. And emotionally, it's going to affect you to the point where you physically experience your creation. In the same way, someone can tell you you have a situation that may be physically evident, and you can decide in that layer, I don't want this, I'm not here for this. And in that same layer, you can just dismiss it and rewrite it in your causal layer, not have to deal with it emotionally, and your physical body can't even get it because it's been stopped all along the way, and I want to get you, Judy, to talk with us about, the fear of the unknown, because we had a really good conversation about that off
Because
camera.
the question was asked, well, what's the unknown? What are you afraid of? And I said, well, I think what we're afraid of when we say we're afraid of the unknown, we have our lives, we do what we do day in and day out. And then, something doesn't sit well with us, but we stay in that because it's familiar. But when it's something that you're going to step out of that box and go, well, I'm going to try this, but what if I fail at it? What if it's... So the fear of the unknown is fearing, what could happen if you step out of that familiarity. But really what it comes down to is fearing of not knowing who you are. So that's how I wanted to tie in, who are you with what we're going to take steps toward the box, the fear, it's all going to come together. It's going to take time. You're not going to learn this overnight. But, but don't be afraid of what we're saying. Just listen and see how it applies in your life.
Or if it applies.
If it applies, exactly. So when you were sharing about how we manifest these things, I was one of those people that manifested a lot of stuff that people told me over the years. I actually was on a CPAP machine for years because somebody told me, you don't breathe right, And so I learned, through ELU and metaphysics study, I can breathe right. I don't need to buy in this. I didn't come here for that experience, So that's just one instance that I can put as tangible so that people can understand. Oh, now you can start thinking for yourself, what has been told to me, that I put myself in this box and I created this monster and now I'm living it physically. So that's.
And if we see ourselves as so, people, you hear all kind of people from different walks of life and groups where they're guiding people in spiritual ways, that as soul, we're very important. Soul is all knowing. But what I know about soul is that as soul, I am free. Mm-hmm. And as soul, I have the freedom to use my mental layer to create for myself and to work with other creators that are creating the similar thing that I'm creating. And to be able to store the information that I need in my causal layer, to use it to help assist myself as I'm growing and experiencing life and the best emotion that I know how, and allowing it to manifest in me physically. You probably have had an experience where you met somebody and they just they're all lit up. It's like, boy, they make me feel good when I'm in their company. I like the way they feel. I like their vibe. I like to use that word because I love to be in tune with vibration. And I know that when you identify with yourself, when your principles are firm, when you understand your character, when you recognize this box doesn't fit, this one doesn't fit. I like all the boxes. So leave them open for me. I'll hop in here and there along the way, and you have that freedom on all these layers and all these aspects of living as soul. When you recognize yourself as soul and you start to see other people like that, life is a lot more comfortable. And that's not to say we're going to never be challenged. I don't want people to think, oh, this is so magical, woo, woo, woo. I'm going to have a perfect life forever.
Yeah.
That is not why we're here, honestly. Why would soul make this journey to have everything so perfect? There's just, doesn't happen here. We're here to experience life, and that means we will be challenged because the challenges are what makes life so interesting. What's also great about those challenges is knowing what to do when you're in one. And the principles are the things that will help you. And this is what we're trying to share. We're trying to simplify how life doesn't have to be such a despair. People wake up in the morning like, oh my gosh, I feel so bad. I got to go here. I got to do this. How about get up and ooh, I'm breathing. I'm going to get as much as I can done today. And everything I do, I'm going to try to make it great. A great memory of it. Even the things that are uncomfortable. Even the situations that you feel you have no control of. If you don't make monsters of them, they'll unfold nicely. I have this thing I like to say to people. They say, people who are always trying to chase money. It's like, you're never going to catch it. It's much faster than all of us. Yeah. So what you do when you have a situation in your life that involves money, you do the best you can. Sometimes it's just a matter of calling and confronting whoever's behind the thing that you feel is frightening you. Just call and confront it. Do it in a comfortable vibration, and that person that you're communicating with will feel that, and they'll be more comfortable too. You will definitely get the best result. You can't be afraid even at what you may consider the worst result. All you need to do is breathe and say, okay, this is what could possibly happen. So what am I going to do next?
And that's the unknown.
And there's no
when you have
need to be afraid of what you don't know. If you fear what you don't know, you create a ton of monsters that you have to fight. And who wants to fight monsters? You know.
I always thought of people who fussed about when you talk about money. I'm so poor. I'm so poor. Well, you keep putting it out there. You're going to stay
Absolutely.
poor. Well, there was a certain person in my life that was saying that to me, and I finally said, "Well, do you have a budget? Do you know what that budget is?" You know, and they're like, "No, I don't know what I make, and I don't know what I spend." And I said,
Wait,
"Well,
that
you know
was a
what?
good question,
Yeah.
Judy.
Just sit down and figure out." Well, that person found out
Oh,
they
boy.
aren't so poor.
They do have
They're
a
just-
budget.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
So
What
that's
is
that
poor?
unknown thing.
What
What
is
is
poor?
poor?
Come on.
Exactly. You know, poor me, because
Yeah.
I don't know who I am. There you
Yeah.
go. Hello, everyone. Who are you? I'm Judy Salino, and I want to talk about Enterlight University, a school of metaphysics, unlike any other metaphysical school you've ever attended. We have special classes that we want you to learn about. There is a link that you can click below, and you can learn more information that way. But I want to share with you that if you're a therapist of any kind, if you have any kind of enlightened experience, we can enhance that at this school. It's different. It's not anything like you've ever been to before. We are here to teach you how to find out who you are, set your own principles, learn about layered bodies of soul, and become the best therapist that you can become.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I like
you know,
that.
it's interesting, you know, how we were trying to talk about the boxes, how when you don't know who you are, it's easy to get stuck in the box, and then if you identify these boxes, and so many people are in a box somewhere, somebody else's box. They're closing the lid when they want to close it, and you don't have the freedom you need. When you identify these boxes, and if you're not comfortable, don't be afraid. You know, step yourself upward, up and up and up and out. And the people that are trying to control these boxes, ask them some questions. I guarantee you they're also in a box. And your questions may help them to unfold as well. You know, we don't need to be afraid of life. We were given life. It's a gift. You know, it's a gift. You know, and a lot of people take their life and wrap it up in a piece of paper and put it in a box that's somebody else's life and allow them to live their life. You know, grab that life back, take a deep breath, and start living it. Unfold, take the paper off, whatever the paper might be, take the bow. You can fold it up just in case you
Sometimes
decide
the
you want to
box
get
is-
back in the box. But, you know, but, you know, when you're on the, you know, just confront life. It's short. I don't care if you live 110 years, 113 years. That's my magic number.
Oh my God.
Because I saw
Oh yeah.
a show
yeah.
recently called Older Than Ireland. I think
Yeah.
that's what it was.
Was
And
that
there was a very young lady on there who was 113. And she inspired me so much because she had so much life. Still, she recognized herself as soul. And she had all the experiences as soul in this lifetime and with many other souls. And she was amazing to me. I can't explain it. If you have an opportunity, it's a good watch, you know, but she lived life. She was doing things that people said she couldn't do. At 113, she was still walking around. And for me, that was inspiring. And, you know, I hope if you do watch it, and even if you don't, you know, if you live 113 years, it's still a short life. So in that life, to really enjoy it and to have just greatness in your own space and not looking outside for somebody else's greatness. And we did talk about this in one of the last podcasts that we did about not being truthful, having false identity, living a life of what you think is entitlement in a fraudulent kind of way. You know, putting something out to the public that's not who you really are, and how uncomfortable that is. We consider that being in a box. If you can't confront your true self, you know. So one of the things, and I hear myself saying one of the things over and over and over again.
Yeah.
But what we will always say throughout all of our podcasts is the importance of understanding who you are. What are your principles? You know, how to identify those principles, how to recognize that life is whatever you make it. You are the creator of your own life. And how to stop and say, I really don't like this life that I've created. Nobody else is responsible for your life. No matter what you think And what you say or what someone else say to you, it's always up to you because your life has been given to you. If you decide to give it to someone else, you have to confront that. If you want to take it back too, you may not want it. It might be fine in somebody else's hands. We're not telling you to do something that you're not comfortable with. We're just trying to give you some information to access to unfold yourself, And we're coming to the end of this segment, so I want to say that the Stensos, Sharon and Dave, are available for counseling if anybody would like to know more about these layered body principles. And ELU is available for anyone who would like to take classes. We offer a bachelor's program, a master's and a doctorate program, and everything is based on understanding soul in this life and all the different layers that we have available to us. So if you'd like more information, at the end of this podcast, there will be a phone number and a website that you can contact for the Stensos and for the university. And we thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.